Who are you? Do you know who you are? Before we even get to the profound questions of whether you are the body, the mind, or the senses, let's go through some of the more mundane ones. Who are you? Who am I? Are you a father? A mother? A son? A student? A worker? All these are mere labels. They don't make you who you are. You buy into these labels and change your identity to what you are not. And from there on starts the trouble. When you decide to be somebody else, when you want to wear the guise of something you're not, or something you want to be, you put yourself under the burden of that role. You are living in a society, and that requires you to conform to the rules of the society. But that does not mean that you cannot be yourself. That really does not mean that you cannot do all that makes you happy. But the journey outside can never make you happy. It can engage you, it can keep you busy, but it cannot make you happy. It can possibly give you pleasure, possibly some joy, but that's about it. It is not designed for fulfillment. Your fulfillment will only ever come from within. This is the microcosm. That is the macrocosm. You are a prototype, a mini replica of that. That is the sea, and this is the drop. There is 70% water on earth. There is 70% water in you. There is intense heat at the core of the earth. There is intense heat in your stomach that helps you digest all food, that helps you maintain the body temperature. There is plenty of fluid on earth, and there's plenty of fluid in you. In the cosmos, there is infinite space. Within you, there's infinite subtle energy. There is an unexplored aspect of the universe, and there is an unexplored aspect about you. But because you've forgotten your true nature, you have lost sight of who you are. You have embarked on a journey to seek fulfillment from outside. And that is a never-ending struggle. Because you are relying on external circumstances, often you end up becoming a creature of such circumstances. You are letting yourself be driven by the world. People say good stuff to you. It creates a positive emotion in you. They say bad. It creates a negative emotion in you. You allow yourself to live between two sets of emotions, positive and negative. You feel happy when you get pleasure. You feel positive on gain. You feel good with praise. But you feel terrible in loss. And you feel bad in criticism. But in essence, none of these really actually matter. That is not who you are. Nothing can get to you unless you allow it to get to you. Whatever, and I mean whatever at all, whatever gives you grief, don't accept it. Simple. Ignore it. Whatever gives you joy, accept it. Let's say you are walking, you're taking a stroll, and you encounter a sight of something disagreeable. Possibly, for argument's sake, let's say disagreeable waste. Somebody was walking his dog and did not clean up after him. So you're following that person, and in front of you is dog poo. What do? Are you going to sit down there and start examining the contents of the waste? Or are you going to walk by, ignore it? You choose at that point in time the treatment you want to give to something that is disagreeable. You don't hold that poo in your hand and start examining it. Why? Because the sight is gross. Similarly, when you are offered something that stinks, when you are offered something that you find disagreeable, you have three choices at that point in time. A, accept it. If you accept it, you have to bear the consequences of that smell, of that stench, and of the unhygienic nature of what you have just accepted. If you reject it, you may have to bear the consequences of the person's attitude, his response or her response, of when they offer it to you. The third option is ignore it. So A, accept. B, reject. C, ignore. But ignoring it does not mean that you keep it in your heart and you pretend to ignore it. Ignoring it actually means that you just ignore it. Very much like the sight of the poo that you just ignored. Then it cannot give you grief. Who can get to your mind if you don't let it? You are a product of your desires. And certainly your karma forms the key ingredient of that product. If you desire fame, somebody offers it to you in the form of kind words or some publicity, you may feel good. If the reverse happens, it is very likely that you are actually going to feel bad. Why? Because you desired fame. And when you did not get it, you feel angry. You feel frustrated. But in essence, it is your shortcoming. It is your shortcoming. It is your problem. When you go inside, when you turn inward, this problem disappears automatically. Because you are no longer reliant on any external phenomenon. It will no longer matter to you what it is that people are saying about you. Pretty much like you will create your own rules. You make your own framework. You design your own life around your real identity, not around what others think of you. And what is really this world? It is made up of people like you. A lot of who are just simply living by. They have not yet learned to live. They are just simply getting by. Living on from one moment to the other, from one day to the other. They're just simply spending the time. But you can learn to live. And you can learn to be happy. Happiness, in fact, I should say, true happiness is never, ever dependent on anything external. It is an internal state of mind. False happiness, temporary happiness, short-lived happiness, or material happiness, worldly happiness is dependent on everything external. When you are aiming for that happiness, that which is false, because it is short-lived, that's why I'm calling it false. Then you become a creature of circumstances. Then people around you can dictate how you feel about yourself. The world will then dictate what you're supposed to think about yourself. Their criticism of you will make you feel terrible, and their acceptance will make you feel worthy. But really, they don't know it either. They are simply living by the rules handed down to them by others. They have not created their own rules, but you can if you want. So before you can create your own rules, you really need to know who you are. Who are you? Are you the body, the mind, the senses, the soul? Who are you? I say my body, my mind, my soul. That means I'm somebody who has these things. That means I'm somebody beyond mind, body, soul. That is what the Vedas proclaim. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma, I am Him. If I am Him, and if I can feel it in my bones, you tell me, what fear could I possibly have? This body that is going to perish one day will be replaced by a new body. If there is no body, what my mind is going to enjoy? If there is no mind, there is no body. Not functional anyway. If there is no consciousness, there is no mind. If there is no soul, there is no consciousness. Rising above this, getting to your true nature, is self-realization. No more, no less. Self-realization is not about the ability to perform miraculous feats. It is not about annihilating your body. It is simply about knowing who you are. Your struggles will cease. You are sure to experience a permanent flow of bliss. A never-ending, an eternal flow of bliss, in fact. But it is not going to come by simply understanding my message. It is not going to come with a mere cognitive grasp. If you really want to experience your true nature, you have to meditate. You have to put in the effort. You have to work towards it. At least once in your lifetime, you will need to give an intense effort. You will need to put in an intense effort. Until you do that, I'm sorry to say there is no hope. It is not possible otherwise. You can keep on reading till the cows come home, but the dawning of the truth is not going to happen that way. And my truth may not be your truth. It's not one size fits all. But my path may well be your path. If you follow my path, you may get to the same truth. But your experience of that truth is probably going to be different to my experience. If you start living your life by what I am telling you, then you have pretty much become my slave. And that is clearly defeating the purpose. Instead, you need to be independent. Not dependent on my philosophy or anybody else's philosophy. So all I'm saying is that you need to get started. If you can surrender, there is no path better than bhakti, devotional service. If you cannot surrender, but you have self-control, then meditation is your way, my friend. And meditation does not mean that you sit in one posture and you do not move. That is the process of getting to the meditative state. Meditation is staying on one thought consciously, so much so that it becomes your habit. It becomes second nature to you. Your mind will stop flying in 50,000 different directions. And a quiet mind is the beginning of the meditation. Because once you have achieved the quietude, the work does not end there. The journey does not end there. Only after achieving the quiescence of the mind are you ready to carry out penetrating analysis with kind of discerning wisdom. And at that moment will dawn the truth. And with that dawning will you gain insight. And that insight is going to be your insight. Not my insight, not Krishna's insight, not Buddha's insight, not nobody's insight, your insight. Just examine the word insight. It is not outside. When your intellect, intelligence, intuition work together and you turn inward, there emerges in you something called insight. In case you haven't noticed, all these words start with the word in. Intelligence, intuition, intellect, inward, insight. When that dawns, I promise you, you will no longer have any questions. Only at that point in time will you actually understand what do I mean when I say you must rise above intellect. Any philosophy, any doctrine, is designed to help you tread the path. It is not the path. It is not the path. You must discover your own truth. And yes, there is a process of meditating. There's a process of achieving supreme one-pointed concentration. Because till such time that you're able to attain that one-pointed concentration, you are not ready for meditation. Don't flatter yourself saying, I meditate for 45 minutes a day. Because meditation is staying on one thought. And chances are your present ability to stay on a thought is in seconds, not even in minutes, let alone hours. And that really is the most important thing. So the question is, what is the correct way of meditating? And how to get to that state of holding on to your thought or object of meditation? Or how to build that supreme, so-called supreme one-pointed concentration? And possibly what can you expect when you do get to that final state of samadhi, also known as meditational equipoise or tranquil equipoise? And what all is there that you need to do before you can even get to concentration? Common questions like how important is the posture in the practice of meditation? Do I really need to do asanas, various postures, to stretch my body? How important is regulation of the breath? How important it is it to follow certain rules, yama, niyama, moral restraint? All of that I will elaborate for you, because if you are committed to the practice, you may tweak it to your own suiting. However, if you are adopting the complete practice of meditation, you can be sure of very quick results. I'm not somebody who's going to ask that you stay on the course of meditation for the whole of your life before you can experience samadhi. No. If you can do it intensively, you are going to see results very quickly. I'm not talking years. I'm talking months. But only a quality practice of meditation is going to yield those results. Because there are 4 common hurdles that one comes across as one treads the path of meditation. And that, plus more, and some of the things I just mentioned, are going to be covered another time. For now, that is all I have to say. And I always end by saying, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat. It means that is complete. From complete has emerged complete. That is complete, and this is also complete. If I take out complete from complete, what is left is also complete. Something for another time. Hare Krishna.